Hi, I'm going to be talking about the DSI-2 model in relation to my practicum experience with Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Um, Speaking on the first stage level of this model, anticipation, I definitely think that this stage has stayed with me throughout each transition because in this practicum we go through each department. So like I'll go to records and ID, I'll go to communications, I'll go to crime scene investigation, I'll go on patrol, I'll go to communication. So everywhere I'm going, I'm meeting new people, I'm seeing new faces, and I'm never really staying stable and seeing the same person over and over again. So that anticipation, that what if stage is very, very common, um, and will probably be most of my experience throughout this practicum. I've definitely have a lot of what if questions, especially because I do struggle with social anxiety. So me not being able to know if, like, what if my supervisor doesn't like me, or what if I'm not prepared as I could be. um, I'm eager to jump in, but I still have those questions laying in the back of my mind, kind of um, clouding my judgment, so to speak. um, I think another thing is confronting my fears, so like asking questions and being able to have that interpersonal relationship with other people, and be able to engage with them um, just by first meeting them, rather than seeing a supervisor the whole entire time and building that relationship up. I think that I have to have that interpersonal conversation skill ability just to be able to move from each department to the next. And I feel like another part of this anticipation kind of stage um, is identifying my role and my purpose within each department. So usually, like with patrol, like I'm allowed to go out and walk with them, and if they pull over someone, like I'm there um, to see like everything that happens. And I think that knowing my role and knowing what I should do when I'm in that situation is a good thing to have, because I need to be proactive and I need to be engaged, because what if this person has a gun? What if something starts to happen? Um, but I think that in the anticipation stage, you definitely have those expectations, you definitely have those assumptions, and you have um, those preconceived notions of what you're going into and what you're going to do. Like I had this huge expectation that when I walked into the jail, it would be a lot different than what I saw, and it was it was worse than what I expected. And I definitely think that having that expectation can definitely, like I said, cloud your judgment and cloud what you do and how you behave with other people while in that situation. Um, Moving on to the next stage, exploration. Um, Again, this stage is kind of hard just because, like, I'm not in the same department the entire time. Like, I'm moving from different departments. So this stage is definitely hard for me personally to do, just because I'm seeing new faces. I can't really get acclimated right away, just because I'm going to each department like this and this and this and this. So um, overcoming those challenges, though, in the exploration stage is probably the biggest thing of this stage that I will complete. And um, I just think that through this stage especially, I should confront all of my fears and all of my anxieties of being that new intern and being that new person in that situation. Explore your opportunities rather than get stuck in a rut and just stay behind the curtain and observe. Like, I like to be engaged. I like to ask questions about what's going on. And I think that it's a very, very critical task for this stage, is to be able to engage with other people and have that momentum of learning, and having a consistent contextual basis, like being able to figure out what's going on just by the little words that everyone's saying. And like, being behind the scenes is probably what I like to do, just because I like to act like I'm not as interested, just to see like what the people will do. But I do like to ask questions and be proactive, and give them sort of like something to go off of and have a conversation. But I also like to sit behind a little bit of a facade, just so that they feel a little bit more comfortable with me, and a little bit more like, oh, she's not paying attention. Um, but I think that the second critical task in this stage is to cope with the problems that I have. Being engaged and not being behind that little facade is something that I struggle with regularly. So, coping with that problem in that situation is definitely a big thing for me in this exploration stage. Um, Going to the next stage, competence. I think it is kind of rewarding in this stage to know like what you've learned, and how much you've been exposed to, and how much, like, when you relay all this information off to another person, you're like, wow, I did that. I've escalated my knowledge of this particular group. So in this stage, it is described in the DSI-2 model that a lot of interns start feeling like they are a part of the profession rather as just a learning observer or student. And I definitely feel more comfortable interacting with people now that I've actually like gotten to know them, and also just been within that familiarity of like, um, I guess that energy, or that, oh, I don't know what to call it, maybe like camaraderie, or just the energy of all these people together, and like how they interact with each other, and um, just things like that. Like, I did patrol last week, and I also did patrol this week because I couldn't make another department. And I definitely felt more comfortable being in the cop car, and also getting out like when I'm supposed to, because they don't really tell you when you're supposed to get out. But like, I was with someone who was fairly new, and even then I still felt really comfortable with this person, and I still felt like I was a professional, and I wasn't just like a ride along. Um, but I definitely feel like I have hit this kind of um, boredom with patrol, specifically just because there's not a lot to do if you're just like driving around, but also there's a lot of questions that I have, so that's a good thing to know. Um, Definitely some sort of disillusionment at this stage, just because I feel kind of that like stagnation, and that like, oh, I've already learned this, I've already been here, I've already done that. But then again, there are things to learn from that. There are things to learn. Well, I've already learned this subject, but how is another person applying this subject to that field? And sometimes I don't see that. I'm kind of blind to that. But um yeah, I think that this competence stage is definitely something that I will experience, probably now and like later on within this internship. Um, and the last stage being culmination. again, I don't think that I would be experiencing this stage specifically to its full extent, just because I'm not seeing my site supervisor regularly. I'm moving departments every week. Um, I I'm not actually making like physical engaged relationships with these people, and I feel like the culmination is an ending and a beginning, and you're saying all your goodbyes, and you're having this relationship with your supervisor, and you're saying goodbye to that, and beginning your new profession in this profession, your job in this profession. And I just don't think that I would be I would have that ending, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I because I'm not ending any relationship. I know I'm ending the internship, but I'm not ending any serious relationship with another person in one department. It's because I'm moving each week that I won't have to like have that feeling of like, oh, this is ending, you know? I think that definitely culmination will make me see like how I'm ending this and where I'm gonna go from this point on, and what I've learned personally and the growth I've experienced, and what I've learned from this experience and all the exposure that I've had. I think that I will definitely have this almost imagined ending in my brain of like where I'm gonna go, and oh, this is the beginning of my professional life, you know. And I think that having that mental picture of that ending can definitely, like I said with the other thing, cloud your judgment, or yeah, cloud your judgment, because you're like, oh, this is ending. Either like I really need to make a good impression on this person because I'm gonna work here later, or I need someone as a contact, or I screw it all because I'm never gonna see these people again and I'm just here for class. It definitely depends where you are in that stage, you know. But I think for me, definitely, I would say that um, I I would definitely want to make a good relationship with my site supervisor, even though I don't see her as much as I do. And I think that having that good relationship with certain people in certain departments, and having them know your face and your name, are really good things, because then once you close that out, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen you before, yeah, like I know you, come on in. Like, it's an easier process to get back into because they've already seen you, they've already seen how you work, you know. And I think that a lot of that can strike fear in people, because they're like, oh well, what if they don't remember me? What if I had a poor performance and they don't like me, they don't want me back, but they just like have this facade to my face? Like, you never know. And I think that that fear of the future is definitely a big part of this stage, and I think that I will experience that. Um, but yes, I think that overall, um, I think that this model is accurate, and I believe that it will describe an internship fully, even if they're not going to the same workplace and they're switching departments like I am. I think that there are things that can relate within each stage, even if it's not to the full extent. But I've had a great experience with this, and like I said, I've had a lot of exposure, and right now I believe that I'm kind of in the competent stage, you know, because I'm done exploring, and I'm just I'm really trying to be a sponge with all this material and take it all in, because I I really think that this experience will guide me to what I want to do in the future, and what my profession will be.